Topic 1, Part 2 is going to look at fractions and decimals. Just a bit of a joke, but an enormous amount of maths confusion would be sorted if people understood fractions. You will find later on when we come to do calculus that if you don't understand fractions, you're going to get into trouble very quickly. So we need to go back and look at fractions and get them sorted now. When we're writing fractions, there are two parts to a fraction. There's a numerator, which is just another word for the top line, and the denominator. If we've got p divided by q, what we need to ask ourselves is how many q's in p? That's what p divided by q means. If we understand that, and we rewrite it as a question, even if it's just in our heads, then you're not going to get fractions wrong. Right, if p is less than q, then we say that the fraction is a proper fraction. If q is less than p, then we say it is an improper fraction. And if we need to, we can rewrite it as a mixed fraction. So 4/3 is an improper fraction, and we can rewrite that as 1⅓, or thinking it through, 3/3 plus 1/3. But we can use our calculators. On the calculators that you're supposed to have, there's an SD button. Toggling through that will change from 4/3 to, if you use the shift button, to 1⅓. If you've got another calculator form, it might be like that. But there is a button on your calculator that will do this for you. We need to simplify numbers. You're not going to go into the plumbing warehouse and ask for 4/16 of a length of pipe. So we need to see if we can't find some common factors. So if we rewrite that as maybe 4 times 1 over 4 times 4, and then we can cancel there, and we're left with 1/4. So you're much more likely to go in and ask for 1/4 metre of piping. When we're adding fractions, we absolutely must find a common denominator. When we're subtracting fractions, we must find a common denominator, because way too many of you, and I'll just write here, don't do this, way too many of you are likely to do 1/2 plus 1/4 is 2/6, which is 1/3. Now that couldn't be more wrong. Think of a pizza. You've got 1/2 of a pizza and 1/4 of a pizza. So how much pizza have you got? You've got 3/4 of a pizza. So you have to do it properly. Now there's a weeny bit of a trick that you can do and to create a common denominator and to sort out adding, and that is to multiply top and bottom, and I'll show you what I mean. Multiply top and bottom by the denominator of the other fraction. Now, what this means is best shown in an example. Let's look at the example above. 1/2 plus 1/4. Now, we know what the answer is, but let's say we're going to multiply 1/2 top and bottom by the denominator of the other fraction. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by 4. And then do the same again. So it'll be 1/4 times 2/2. So sorting the first fraction, 1 times 4 is 4/8, plus 1/2s are 2/8. Now they are in the same sort of format. We've now got a fraction over 8. So now we've got 4/8 plus 2/8, which will give us 6/8, which we can simplify to 3/4, which is right according to the pizza. So if you think of this as 4 times 1/8 plus 2 times 1/8, then you'll get the answer 6 times 1/8, which you can write as 6/8. Sometimes we need to convert this into an improper fraction. There are two ways. You can think of it as 4 plus 3/4, and 4 is 16/4 and 3/4. Now they've got a common denominator, so that's 16/4 plus 3/4, which is 19/4. Or another way of looking at it is to work it out by saying 4 fours are 16, 16 plus 3 over the denominator, which is what we had before. Multiplying fractions is easy, and it's so easy that you do it when you're not supposed to be doing it as well. It's just top times top over bottom times bottom. Now, multiplication also is the idea when we say a half of an eighth. A half of an eighth, that of means multiplication. So this means a half times an eighth, which you'd know as a 16th. So a half of an eighth. If we have three fractions, it's not a problem. We just continue 2 times 5 times 7, so that's 10 times 7, so that's 70. Over 3 sixes times 15, I think that's 270 without my calculator. And I think we can do that, but you need to check that. It's a little more tricky when we have improper fractions, but all we need to do is either use the calculator directly or change it into an improper fraction from the mixed fraction. So we can change the first one, 4 twos are 8 and 3 is 11 over 4 times 3 ones is 3 plus 1 is 4 over 3. Now we find 11 fours are 44 over 12, which if we needed to, we could say it was 4 times 11 over 4 times 3. If we remember that division is a question, how many Q's are there in P, then we're not going to get these fractional funny ones wrong. How many quarter apples in 2? That's what we need to say. How many quarter apples in 2? And you'd know that the answer was 8. Or you could do division. It's division of fractions, so flip and multiply, and you get the answer 8. The second one says how many are half apples in 3? And you know the answer is going to be 6. Or you can use fraction rules, which say 3, and then we flip and multiply, and we get 6. If you're still having problems, you need to rewrite the problem using the question idea. 12 divided by 4 is asking how many 4s in 12. Think about that. Make sure that it's second nature. And if it's second nature with little numbers, it'll become fine for algebra later on. Sometimes it's useful to find the percentage change in a value. We need this formula here. I need to put in the values. It needs then to be converted into a percentage. It needs to be multiplied by 100. So in the question here, find the percentage change in the price. The new value is 135. The original value is 149.95 over the original. Now the answer, I haven't got my calculator with me, but the answer is something like negative 9.96, I think. Now this negative tells us, well, the price has gone down. Then we needed to multiply that by 100 to give us a percentage. Dividing fractions, as I've already alluded to when we were looking at 2 over a half, you invert the bottom line and multiply. So 5 over a third. It's asking us the question, how many thirds in 5, which we know, but actually what we're doing is we're saying 5 times, invert the bottom line, and then it's 15 over 1.